everyone. Welcome to episode 88 of Formidable Opponents, a show that pits three people who have known each other virtually their entire lives in a series of conversations as we argue what is best in a variety of fun, engaging, and critical pop culture topics we all debate about. I'm Randall, and with me as always, Bob and Joseph, and this week's topic is Sexiest 90s Song. I feel compelled to preface this episode by saying, yes, we realize there's nothing sexy about three middle-aged guys talking about sensual music.
Speak for yourself.
The only thing keeping us up in the middle of the night right now is the constant urge to urinate as we grow older. These songs we are about to discuss involve getting physical, and you're listening to three guys who associate the word physical with high cholesterol and perhaps an exam that would help if the doctor played some of these songs we're about to discuss. We're here to talk about a simpler time, the 90s. First bit of history. Whereas early 80s songs were a bit more sanitized and masqueraded the risque factors with clever metaphors. I mean, Sheena Easton's Sugar Walls wasn't about her kitchen decor. We saw an emergence of more deliberate acts explicitly singing about sex. Madonna, Two Live Crew, George Michael, Salt and Pepper, Tone Loc, amongst others. That paradigm shift bled into the 90s culture and mainstream, and if you released a pop dance hit, alternative rock song, or sensual ballad, acts were more unambiguous about the meaning of their songs and the intentionality of those songs' meanings. Whereas the 80s was carefully navigating uncharted waters with trying to understand HIV and AIDS, education took root in the 90s, and the artists lent their talents and in many cases expertise to the subject matter to express not only their primal urges, but let go of all the seriousness that previously had a foothold on the matter. Songs about sex are fun, they're serious, they're sensual, and of course, they are timeless. This isn't a subject that will expire in interest, and the capacity to which it evokes a mood, feeling, a joy, and sometimes awkwardness, it is forever baked in our nostalgia. This week, Formidable Opponents debates and discusses, maybe regretfully, Sexiest 90s Song. As always, I'm joined by two guys who thought Wicked Game was something fans from Boston used to chant at Tom Brady. Bob and Joseph, how are you guys doing?
That came out in 89, sir.
Wicked Game.
89.
I even thought about, I was like, why didn't anybody pick Wicked Game? And I was like, oh, it came out in the 80s.
Oh, it's 89? I got it 89. On my honorable mention.
Yeah, there you go, Red. Do your research, sir. Do your research.
Because that would have been like the fun. I mean, that's the one, but it's the 80s. Anyway, yeah, what's up, everybody? Hey, how's it going?
I was planning on coming out with my sexy, deep voice, but my microphone seems to be off. So if I sound terrible, that's just my normal voice.
Yeah, just to preface this for everybody, Bob was having some technical issues. He's getting a new mic soon, but he still sounds good, and he's going to bear with us, and we're going to bear with him. So we're happy to have both Joseph, Bob here to talk about sex. So, guys. By
the way, this topic was brought up by me a couple of weeks ago while drinking during brunch on a Saturday morning. And it's turned into a whole different thing, guys. So I hope you all enjoy the show.
If brunch doesn't scream sexy, I don't know what does.
Like orange juice and champagne to get the blood flowing at 9:30 in the morning.
We're going to start off with simple questions. What defines a sexy 90s song?
Well, it's like you mentioned in your opening, Rand. There was like the 90s for some reason. It was just blatant. Yeah, it was a different time. I guess the people were living, more free and. I don't want to say like open, but like just not being afraid about singing about this topic and speaking about this topic and putting it in music. As far as defining a 90s sexy song, I think it's just gotta invoke a feeling, like whether it's like you're getting up and dancing seductively, or if you're putting it on in a certain time of the night or the evening or the afternoon or wherever what time it is you do your thing. But yeah. There's that.
Did you say "Baby Girl, Do It"? Put it on me. It's. I think. 90s, definitely the early 90s, can be defined by R&B. I think R&B really took a huge step forward in being like one of the biggest genres of that decade. And with the R&B groove and the sexier romantic lyrics, suggestive lyrics as well. I think that MTV and music videos kind of ran with it. So I think the sex appeal and the sexiness, so to speak, it just goes hand in hand with the R&B music and the music video. It was no longer just the concert, rock hard 80s, 90s were a little different. They're more like movie-esque
'80s was all about the drugs and the ambiguity and so many different things had a premise in the '80s. When the '90s came around, it was all about that look. Like who looks good. And of course, when that happens, you have a visual medium like MTV showing people off. And these songs were being purchased left and right. They were mood music. I mean, I think it's what you think of the performer. I think '90s music that's sexy, even though, yeah, you know what? You want to put it on, you want to listen to it. It was also more of a visual medium than it was, listening to it. Excuse me, if you find that performer or the performers that are pulling off that specific brand of song, then it works. You have to match image versus song. Yeah. There are some bands who have tried to create sexy songs or try to transition to them and they failed or they had one hit. You have to tap into the zeitgeist. And what was going on then was that visual medium, the movies that were being released, the sex symbols, to use a dated term. So I agree. I think what defines a sexy '90s song is that we were getting into a whole new culture of what sexiness and sex appeal was supposed to look like.
And it wasn't '90s rhythm and blues R&B. It was '90s rubbing and boning R&B. So that's why it's different. An
important distinction. Yes. Okay. So the category is so vast and subjective, especially during this era. Was the '90s the sexiest time in music?
I guess you could say. I mean, in the '60s and '70s, it was like free love and all this, psychedelics and drugs, and then the '80s again, it was all party. And I think you nailed it in the '90s. I guess MTV really focused on image, right? Image and music videos, which and sex appeal and all that good stuff. So I guess you could say it was a sexy. I don't know goddamn, Danny Tanner was the biggest star on TV at one point. So I don't know if we'd go with the sexiest. You know what I mean?
The visual medium was a lot more accessible in the '90s with MTV. With the dawning of the internet age, fester nudity. It was there. It was available to you. Almost anywhere.
Skinemax.
So it was like you said, it's in the question, it's always been there, but in the '90s, it was more accessible. And so that's why we had you mentioned the music videos, movies in general, some of the, and internet age of internet stuff like that. It's just brought it to the forefront, I guess. And that's kind of why the '90s seemed so big. And so there wasn't any issue with them. Like just, hey, let's put it out there in the music, let's all do it. Let's just, I'll put it out there, but not in that way.
Sexually show it to the world.
I think it tried to be. I think MTV, we're going to mention that often, was still the prime visual medium. I think that movies were driven by sex. I hate the word sex object, but that was a big term in the '90s, right? When movies like Striptease or Sliver or Basic Instinct are rocking the box office.
You're going to arrest me for smoking Basic Instinct?
Close those legs. Okay.
Yeah,
there's this, how about Wayne Knight in that scene? He just stole this. It's great.
Ching out. We're looking at what's her name? And you're talking about Wayne Knight? Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ.
There's this osmosis during the time to music. And so sexuality is this driving force behind television as well. Shows like Melrose Place, ER, where young doctors were screwing each other, Friends, shows where good-looking people were, for lack of a better phrase, sleeping with each other, and all the storylines were about who's with who and who's getting with who, right? And I mentioned movies. Sports stars were now being commodified and marketed sexually. You saw a lot of this in tennis, especially where marginal players were well known and had endorsement deals because they looked sexy. This was the apex of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition era. Hell, our president at the time was doing some freaky shit in the Oval Office, I almost said oral. Okay, so HBO had all these late night.
But you did say it.
HBO had all these late night sex themed TV shows like Real Sex. Cinemax had the Emmanuel series. Sex was everywhere. It was prevalent.
We had the call lines.
You had the call lines. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
USA Up All Night. I mean,
Taxi Cab Confessions.
Taxi Cab Confessions. The call lines, the 1-900 number. I know now it's channeled through other entities, but still in the monoculture '90s, those public outlets were gold mines for selling sex, and that's what they did. Now it's everywhere, right? But it was so concentrated on, like, you had to like work to try to get to know what it was about. Now it's just everywhere. But the 90s was like this Pandora's box of what is sexy and what we're going to show the public. I remember MTV used to have that spring break week where they would go, and there would be like these bikini contests where, I mean, you saw everything. So the 90s was the real world, right?
Real excited when you said you saw everything.
Saw everything. Didn't have to leave my house. You think I went on vacation? Fuck no. I stayed home and watched MTV.
I was in high school at the time. Okay, so some sexy 90s music incorporated a chanting monks and chanting Native Americans. Bands like Enigma use this a lot. When you hear chanting, does that kill the mood?
Why would you add something like that into a song?
Why would you
of
sing
that
that?
nature?
Why would you repeat it, Joseph? That's the real
of
question.
that nature. Like, I don't understand. It was a mood killer. Like, why would you do that? Like, are they not? That was more of a meditation song. Like, get rest or something. Like, find some kind of peace. Like,
well, you got a piece, all right.
it didn't work for me.
Like I said, I was going to say the only chanting I want during sex is words of encouragement. I think that's the only thing I'm going to go with.
That's why you listen to a live album, sir. You put a live album on. Every 3 or 4 minutes, you get a round of applause to make yourself feel better.
Well, every 3 after that, you're pretty much done, anyways.
That's when they start chanting encore.
Listen.
When horrible episode.
it's gone south.
He mentioned monks. By the way, he mentioned monks. The whole drapery over the shoulder thing. I think it's
my answer to this.
I like a good Gregorian chant while I'm in the mood.
When I hear a great sexy beat and some dude is chanting Dominos, Nabiscos, and all that just kills everything. It makes me hungry too. So, like I said,
Nabisco? Did you say Nabisco? The fuck is that?
Dominos and Nabiscos.
And as I mentioned before, some of my ancestors, all of our ancestors really, were Native American. I don't want them guiding me through those intimate moments. Just stay away, right?
They're watching you, sir. They're watching you.
So, guys, last question for the opening segment. Closer by 9 Inch Nails, yay or nay?
Yay.
It depends. Am I wearing leather pants?
Probably.
Okay, then I'm in.
Joseph, why is this a good sex song? Sexy
it just
song.
Is.
Good sexy. Yeah,
look, it has its crowd, and I like the song. I just like it. I don't like it because of this. I like the song, but it works. It does. Like, you listen, the lyrics are there. Just listen to the lyrics. It's all there for you.
It works. I mean, if you have the GIMP, there you go.
Listen, if you're on drugs or drunk, yes. No, if you're sober, it just doesn't work. That's my answer to that.
If you want to have some fun, then use it. If you're not into fun, never mind. Let's just move on.
I don't know, man. That song is, I don't know. Well, yeah, let's just move on before we get in trouble with a different crowd. Okay. A crowd that I'm sure that we have a lot of fan base on. Anyway, okay, so
I love you guys.
Honorable mentions. Who wants to kick off? Bob, what do you got for honorable mentions?
Oh, man, you got to start off with Color Me Bad's I Want to Sex You Up. That's one of the... Well, okay, let me preface this by, when I first brought up the topic, I thought it'd be a funny show, but now we're getting really into it. So, okay, you have to... If we're going to mention that, we're going to go with Toni Braxton, You're Making Me High. If you talk about sexy-ass lyrics, I mean, that one has a little bit of everything. Too Close by Next, another great sexy song. More Than Words if you want to cry during sex. There you go. That's the one. Mixed by Extreme. Fiona Apple's Criminal. She gets an honorable mention just by the music video alone. Holy crap, that's a steamy video. Joseph, we got to go with Dave Matthews. Crash Into Me because I know. Oh, I was gonna say Randy because I know Rand hates Dave Matthews. There you go. Crash Into Me. Very sexual in nature lyrics. Definitely a sexy song. What do y'all got? Oh, sorry. Hold on. One more. Usher, Nice and Slow. That guy's a pervert.
Joseph, what do you got?
Yeah. I had Usher too. Nice and Slow. I mean, it is. It's just a good song. I got Me So Horny, 2 Live Crew. I got Nobody by Keith Sweat. Nobody.
Who can love it like me? Yeah.
I got Sex and Candy. I Want to Sex You Up by Color Me Bad. I had that one as well too. I got Mr. Boombastic. Pony.
Nobody was throwing down to Mr. Boombastic. Not even Mr. Boombastic was throwing down to Mr. Boombastic.
Sexy song. It's a sexy song. That's all you need to know.
I
got Pony by Genuine. Shoop, by Salt and Pepper. That's a sexy song. Hey Lover by LL Cool J. The Star Wars Cantina Band. I don't know the name of the song, but
What the?
put that. Hey, don't tell me that's not a thing. Put that song on in the middle of.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say show me your lightsaber. Jesus Christ!
Just don't ask who shot first.
I got
We're not gonna post this episode.
It's gonna be our number one hit, dude. We're gonna get all the.
Who said this wasn't gonna be funny? I got Hey Pretty Love by Snow. I did have Closer by Nine Inch Nails, and last but not least, I got Honey by Mariah Carey. Mariah, you can say whatever you want. We all know what you're singing about in that song, so let me just leave it at that.
Wow. I got a few myself. Bob, which was the Dave Matthews Band song that you selected again?
Crash Into Me.
Crash. I think more appropriate would be The Space Between. Just for anyway. No, let's go. All right, I Touch Myself by the Divinals.
Jeez.
Not a great karaoke song, but a good. Don't tell me this song isn't sexy. The woman in that video, amazing. But I don't think any of you guys wanted to mention it because you guys didn't want to make those jokes. But I Touch Myself by the Divinals.
You've said that far too many times.
I Want to Sex You Up by Color Me Bad. First time I heard this song was in New Jack City when Nino Brown's in his room showing his movies and acting like Tony Montana. I think the reason why none of us chose this was they were just four random guys. I mean, they all looked like, one guy looked like George Michael, one guy looked like Kenny G, one guy looked like Milli Vanilli, one guy looked like, I don't know who, but they were just four random guys. And I don't know if that song just holds up. Some ridiculous lyrics too. I hate to mention this guy, but you cannot talk about sexy 90s songs without mentioning R. Kelly, Sex Me. Of course, we don't condone this individual. He did some terrible things, but you have to mention him when it comes to this subject. Too Close by Next. I think that's a great song.
Yeah.
Freak Like Me by Adina Howard. Now, this song is for those girls you picked up at Whataburger at 2:30 a.m.
Jesus Christ.
Right.
For those California workers, listeners, In-N-Out Burger. Those girls you picked that In-N-Out Burger.
I did have Wicked Game by Chris Isaac, but you guys mentioned it was 1989, but still a very sexy song. Criminal by Fiona Apple. Oh, man, that was probably my number 2 or 3. Knocking the Boots by H-Town. Freaking You by Jodeci. Caress Me Down by Sublime. And, of course, Joseph, you know I have to mention Back That Ass Up by Juvenile.
Yeah, there we go.
None of these songs were ever played.
Jam.
Nobody has the courage to play that, but hey. All right, guys. So we're going to go on to our selections. I am up first. And for sexiest song of the 90s, I chose Fade Into You by Mazzy Star. We often talk about acts or people that should have been bigger stars. I'm going to once again use that label with Dream Pop Darlings Mazzy Star, although I read they were indifferent to fame, and that's fine, but this song is a classic. It will never go away. Mazzy Star formed in 1988. They had a good on and off run for about 22 years, but you had to be hard pressed to name any song outside of the hit I'm going to discuss or that I'm discussing. A hypnotic ballad about unrequited love, which was pretty much the entirety of the 90s for me, with the soulful lead vocals of Hope Sandoval, emoting that yearning connection that boosted the sensuality of this song. Her voice is amazing. When it comes to the topic at hand, don't make that joke, Bob, I am not looking for upbeat or shouting or weird lyrics like making love until we drown. I mean, to me, that's just ridiculous. Or Rico Suave, anything like that, out the window. That's immaturity and that's a sophomoric grab. Bob, I know you like this song because we've spoken about it on the show. Joseph, I know you like this song because the lead singer looks like something out of a Tim Burton movie, and I know that's what you like. So when you listen to this song, it's unapologetically 90s. It takes you back right into the era. It takes you back to that huge box living room television late at night watching 120 minutes on MTV. There is such a haunting beauty to this song. It's pensive. It's well crafted. It's so ethereal that it's almost like a guide when you're using it. The depth and the breadth of this emotional experience that the song captures is that's what makes it sexy. We associate memories with those intimate encounters of our past, right? Or of our present. This is such a perfect memory song that if you're fortunate enough to have connected to an intimate memory, or if you're fortunate enough to have it connected to an intimate memory, I must say, it enhances that experience because there's no frill or silly lyrics. It's not trapped in frivolity. I look to you and I see nothing. I look to you and I see truth. Great lyrics. How does it get any better? I have to go back to Hope Sandoval, the lead singer of this song. Her soft cooing throughout this song is so intimate and personal. But for many Gen Xers, this is a song that is so meaningful in a pastiche of ways. Maybe it's about someone you had a crush on and you never spoke to that person. Maybe you had your first true intimate moment to this song. Maybe it reminds you of the one that got away. Maybe it reminds you of the simpler time when your biggest worry was trying to find someone to share this song with. To me, that deep emotion, that longing, that despair, that uncertainty, that accomplishment, deep love, those are the truest emotions connected to sexy. And I get that this subject is so subjective, but when you have so many emotions that a song could conjure up, how could you deny its impact? Sex isn't about the physical, guys. It's about the metaphysical.
Keep telling yourself that.
The intertwined identities, the sacred knowing that you want a guide there to take care of you, and that is this song. Not some dudes harmonizing, ooh, you don't want that stuff. You want something that's pure and that lasts. And lastly, guys, this band I told you about earlier, they didn't care about making another hit. They just wanted to make a song, and maybe that's why it comes off as so personable and intimate. The instrumentals are fantastic. It's calming. It's like a dream. And I think this overall intimate production is what makes it sexy. Guys, your thoughts on this song?
First off, it's not what you want. It's what she wants, Randall. She wants to hear, ooh, she doesn't want to hear a homecoming dance song from her freshman year. Jesus Christ. Maybe, just maybe, this song reminds people of Angus. And in Angus, freshman 14-year-olds are dancing to this shit in a plum suit while James Vanderbeek looks on, angrily in the corner. That's exactly what this song reminds me of. It doesn't give off a sexy vibe. It gives off a slow dance during homecoming vibe, at least for me, because it reminds me of Angus. I think the song is tied to it. It's an incredible song. I've mentioned that, like I said, plenty of times before. But it doesn't scream sexy to me. I mean, romantic, sure. Maybe reminds you of, lost love when you're in junior high or high school, sure. But I don't see sexy. It doesn't, it doesn't do that for me. Not saying 4 dudes singing ooh are doing it for me either. But I just feel like
both of you doing that is doing it for me though.
Oh man, I feel like if I can't unassociate it from Angus, so it will never be anything other than such a great, haunting song from that movie and that specific scene. So it throws me off a little bit. What do you think about it, Joe?
So I really do like this song. It is a very, very great song. Not only of the 90s, but just in general. I think the whole situation behind them is cool. Like I can name another song by them. Into Dust was another great song, but that was kind of their thing. This moody thing. It's that the vibe of it when I've listened to the song, and yes, of course, I can't hear this song without thinking about Angus because it's what introduced me to it. Great movie, by the way. I don't think sexy when I hear this song. I think very romantic. I think it's perfect to use, obviously, in a dance scene or dance situation. It's definitely something that you can play. I hear this more like if you're out on a beach or something, or if it's used in another movie where a scene between 2 lovers like holding hands, walking or just something like I hear it more for something else, not to. I mean, I'm not saying you can't play it during, lovemaking. I'm not saying that's not a possibility. I just don't hear the song and automatically think that's going on the sex playlist. It's a very beautiful song. Yes, it is. It's just more romantic to me. It's more to set the mood than to actually what we're talking or what we're trying to tell the listeners at home. What we feel is the sexiest song to either get you in the mood or to use during the mood or one way. Too romantic for me, not sexy, I guess.
I think, to have a rebuttal.
Although
this,
you can, I'm sorry, but although you can, I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying it can't be used in during or whatever. It's just very much more romantic. I hear that more in the lyrics and anything than sexy. Go.
This movie's been used in a lot of. I mean, I'm sorry. This song has been used in a lot of movies. Starship Troopers, Lord of War, The To-Do List, The Crown. I mean, not just Angus. It is a very popular song. It's been most recently used. It was on an episode of Yellow Jackets, and I think this song is timeless. I think we could at least agree to that, right? It's a timeless
Yes,
song.
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
for sure. It's
Yeah.
an amazing
Yeah.
song.
Like I said, not just a great song or one of the best songs from the 90s in general. The song is just beautifully timeless, like you said.
I'm looking back at some of my honorable mentions, and I mentioned this song, and I'm like, well, what differentiates this song from like Linger? Because nobody mentioned Linger by the Cranberries or Fake Plastic Trees by Radiohead. Both kind of the same sort of neighborhood as this song, as
I
far
feel like
as
those are more like breakup songs, though, don't you think?
yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true. I think they could be, it's all about interpretation. But I think the 90s had a lot of those songs that really just pulled at the heartstrings and really just said, okay, let's slow it down. Let's shoegaze it. Let's make sure that everybody understands how intimate and sort of quasi-sensual, but yet sort of like sort of depressed, but I'm not. I'm feeling these moods and these experiences for the first time. And I think when you look back at, and we all grew up in a different era, and I was a teen throughout the 90s. You guys were, more a little early 2000s. But when I think of this song, and maybe it's just me, when I think of this song, I think of like first time moments of a lot of things. And it's not just about the subject matter. It's about when you fall in love, when you look at somebody and this song plays in the background, like when you're dating somebody and you're hearing this song and you got to live through an era where this song was the background music of some of your most intimate and first memory moments. And to me, that's what struck me. Yes, I get it. There's a lot of songs like this in the 90s because that's what was in, excuse me. And a lot of people use it in soundtracks because the 90s movie soundtracks about teens and about first time loves, where they're going to pull songs like Linger, the Fake Plastic Trees and Fade Into You into their soundtrack. I get what you're saying, but I think with me, this subject matter is a little different because it's about those moments that aren't in between the sheets, but rather get you inspired and get you emotionally amped up. You know what I mean?
You just described the first time I heard Google Dolls.
Let's go on with Bob. What do you got for us?
That's a way to cut the cord there. This was a really easy choice for me. I went with Boyz II Men's "I'll Make Love to You." This is the song that turned boys into men, Randall. Okay, Boyz II Men were the kings of R&B and love songs in the 90s. If you dated someone between 1991 and 1999, there's at least one Boyz II Men song that tugs at your heartstrings and connects you to that person. This is easily the sexiest song of the 90s, not just with the lyrics, not just with the song's approach and the R&B style. It has to do with the music video as well. You have four of the most handsome dudes wearing vests with no undershirts, singing soulfully that they'll make love to you when you want them to, on the floor. Okay. So this was I can't tell you how many times I heard this song on Midnight Magic. If you're somebody from the Valley, Midnight Magic B104 in the 90s was a thing. You know what I mean? You'd call in and play like love songs for the person you're in love with or whatever. But this was one of those bands, Boyz II Men, that just created so many different love songs in the 90s. I think they were the best to do it. And this song specifically was very romantic and very sexy and very provocative when it came to the lyrics. The music video, I said, has a lot of sexual undertones and it's very romantic. And then again, it goes off into some fucking Nautica Dillard's commercial with their outfits and stuff like that. But the complete song, that it's a little romantic, it's a little sexy, it's definitely a song that connects you to someone as you grew up, and I think it's really, really hard to beat, man. It's the sexiest Gap commercial I've ever seen. I couldn't choose any other band because when you're talking love songs and sexy songs, I mean, Boyz II Men is pretty hard to beat. I think they were the standard in R&B in the 90s. So I would like to hear y'all's opinion on it, man. What do you got for me?
Let me ask
Rubbing
you.
and boning.
Let me ask you a question about. It's 1994, and let's just pretend you're going on your first date and you're playing this song. What cologne are you wearing, and what are you wearing?
It's CK1, cargo pants, and a shirt from Structure.
Joseph, do you agree on that?
What was the question?
Wait, this song is playing. What you're going on a date? You're listening to the song as you're getting ready. What are you wearing? What cologne are you wearing?
In the 90s or right now?
Yeah, 90s.
What cologne am I wearing?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's going to say Curve.
Cool water.
No.
Cool water.
Jakar? Come on, man.
Yeah, I was. You know what? Probably Curve at the time.
Curve.
You know, that was probably what it was the easiest to afford. That smelled pretty good.
He's going to say Curve,
Easily. Curve.
a Slipknot shirt, and Jinko jeans.
Curve, some kind of band shirt, some jeans, and maybe
Frosted tips, maybe.
no frosted.
He
Either
had bleached hair. He
my
had bleached
Chucks
hair.
or
He had bleached hair.
or if I did have a pair of boots. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that. I guess.
Cool. That song is just it reminds me of that specific era. You know, I just had to ask that question. So it was a song written and produced by Babyface, who in the 90s wrote ballads like nobody's business. So yes, to start on a positive note, you had the 90s version of Smokey Robinson crafting this incredible song. And it really is a good song. Boyz II Men had End of the Road a year before this, featured on the amazing Boomerang soundtrack. Didn't think much of the movie, but the soundtrack is a beast. It's a great soundtrack. And that band found a sweet spot. Emotional ballads. So End of the Road was a Billboard #1 hit. I'll Make Love to You, a Billboard #1 hit. They performed an all-time breakup song. Now they had their all-time romantic ballad. Then they had On Bended Knee, an all-time Take Me Back song. Water Runs Dry, a great song about four guys horny for Tyra Banks. So, I mean, these guys ran the gambit. They really just took R&B to another level. I say all this to say that the group's members were reportedly not feeling this song, Bob, that you picked, I'll Make Love to You, because they felt it sounded too much like End of the Road. Of course, they were wrong, as I'll Make Love to You spent an incredible 14 weeks at #1 on the Billboard. That's longer than most relationships that were first consummated during this song. Yeah.
That's a lot of weeks of baby making music, sir.
That is a long time. Everybody loved this song. So it is a very popular song. It is a very good song. It is a very good commercialized, romantic pop song. To me, sexy songs aren't these massive mainstream cultural phenomena that infiltrate and become sort of stock music for jokes and fodder, like we're kind of using it now. This song is far too outreaching for it to be a personal, serious, sexual ballad, is what I'm trying to say. I recall SNL in the mid-90s. They did a Boyz II Men spoof led by Tim Meadows and Chris Rock. Did you guys remember that skit, All I Want to Do Is Suck Your Big Toe?
No.
You guys gotta look it up on
No,
YouTube.
I have to look for that.
I mean, with lyrics like "Honey, your big toe tastes so sweet. You got a corn on it. I love the extra meat." Sung by Chris Rock, and Tim Meadows is sucking on a big toe. It's incredible. So it's like a Boyz II Men parody song. My point is that it's so easy to parody these R&B groups, especially when their music comes across as gimmicky. So it's hard to take them seriously, and that, in my opinion, not very sexy. So, but credit Boyz II Men. There was a 4-year era from 91 to 95 where they were arguably the biggest musical act on the planet. Ironically enough, those were my high school years. So I have a special place in my heart for Boyz II Men because they were amazing and they got me through a lot of awkward times, I guess. And their second album too was such a huge album. I mean, these were bad dudes. I mean, no doubt about it. However, I think we can all agree that Boyz II Men's music stopped being sexy when the deep voice guy left the group. There was nobody in the band to soft talk. Anyway, the instrumentals are bad. It's elevator music. The song is essentially driven by the lyrics, which, of course, this is an a cappella group, so they don't need the music. They could sing, whatever the hell. They could sing the phone book if they wanted to and make it sound good. But here's my biggest problem. You take a solo singer from any era. I don't care if it's Al Green, Marvin Gaye, or Chris Isaacs. When they sing their sexual music, it's almost as if these guys are coaches. They're personal instructors navigating the way, clearing the path. Their music has that private feel to it. These are 4 dudes singing about lovemaking. There's no coach here. It's the whole team talking about you about to fuck or whatever, I can't deal with that change up, you know? So, I mean, sexy music is simple. It should be soft. It should be mood setting. These guys are essentially directing, dictating, and chanting, I'll make love to you. And it gets kind of comical after a while. I will say two things. I will say two things, one good and one bad. So consent is essential. So kudos to the line, I will not let you go until you tell me to. But the line, I'll hold you tight, baby, all through the night. Could we update this for married couples with kids to I'll hold you tight until we both fall asleep during Ted Lasso or something? Because it's too much to ask, I think. Lastly,
nothing sexy about that, sir. You're losing points here.
Boys to Men. My last point is that Boys to Men, they strike me as too clean cut to pull off this sensual, seductive song. Monster pop hit, sure it was, but a band like Jodeci can pull off sexy songs. Boys to Men look like they'd have their dates home by 10:30. You know, them saying I'll make love to you almost makes it sound like they're trying to convince themselves. Nothing really too sensual, nothing too sexual. It's all romantic and sweet, and I just can't endorse this one. I love the song, but as far as, you know, it being sexy, I think it's more of a pop phenomenon than anything else. Joseph?
I guess they should have had a melancholy and sounded all depressed and told them to. Like every other girl.
I give this one a little bit more props, I guess, as opposed to Randy's pick, because of the subject matter in the song, you know, being about making love, you know, that's the fucking lyrics, you know, I'll make love to you like you want me to. So obviously, you know, if you
on the floor,
in the car, wherever you want, you know, it can be like Randy's song. It can be played. I think you know, if you're trying to set a mood, sure. But I'm getting that romantic thing again. I'm getting like, you know, it's a mood setter. And I've seen it in movies too. This was obviously a staple of high school dances, junior high dances as well too. I mean, it was. I even remember a Sinbad movie called First Kid. I don't know if you know the premise of that. He's the first kid. He's the bodyguard to the president's son. And he takes him to, he has to chaperone him to a school dance, and they can't be more than 9th graders or 8th graders or something like that. And there's a dance scene where they dance to this song. So I get that high school dance vibe to it. I get the romanticness, you know, singing to a girl, telling her that you know, all these wonderful things that I will do to you when that time comes, because I want to tell you that I will love you. And
no, hold on. He never says I love you. He says let's have sex. That's what he's saying, sir.
It's just my personal opinion.
It was the 90s, man. It was the 90s. I think going back to Randy's point, I think that Boyz II Men is so easy to be made fun of because they were such a huge phenomenon, I guess, in the 90s with their R&B music. I mean, they were huge during that time. You know, you can't really do a Mazzy Star skit because, you know, they're basically one-hit wonders. I mean, there's a lot of bands that you couldn't really, or people or famous people that you couldn't really make fun of, or because they didn't have such an amazing impact like I guess Boyz II Men did. So I can see how they're like Randy said, they're kind of laughable. Well, yeah, but they're easy to poke fun of because they have a lot to work with. Not somebody who just put out one song and they came out in a movie and then, you know, kind of disappeared off the face of the earth.
Let me ask you again, Joseph. What was that Sinbad movie that
First Kid?
First Kid. I will tell you this: that a lot of people had their first kid because of Fade Into You. Yeah. You want to talk about first kids?
I like how Bob is like, yeah. When you go back and watch this video, like they do like 3 or 4 different outfit changes, and they all like look like, you know, like
who needs an undershirt when you have a vest?
And the gap and everything is like, okay, what's up, guys? I mean, are you going to the dance or you're not?
They're going to they're going on the boat, they're going to the dance, and they're going to the party afterwards, so they're ready.
But, you know, and I get it, and that could be a plus and minus because you're talking about, you know, their outfits, and they were very preppy, and that was very intentional. I know Boyz II Men were very strategic the way they dressed, and their management was very strategic how they presented themselves because they wanted Boyz II Men to be for everybody, not just a teenage crowd, not just an older crowd. They were very deliberate in the way they dressed. And we think about that, and you could say as a plus because it reminds you of 90s fashion, but it could also take away from the song because we're talking a lot about the visual, and it's saying that, well, you know what, we could poke fun of Boyz II Men because of the way they dress and they were coordinated and they were preppy or whatever. But a band like Mazzy Star or some of these other bands, I don't remember what they wore in the video. I just remember how the song made me feel, and that's my first point.
A plum suit at a freshman fucking homecoming dance, Randall. That's what it was.
Angus, a movie like 5 people in our audience have seen.
In the music video.
How dare you? That movie is a treasure.
It's a treasure, sir.
You got the Vanderbeek.
What's going on, Joseph? What's your pick?
I'm already expecting the worst. I chose No Ordinary Love by Sade. All right. At this point, I'm not really feeling this pick anymore because I've just kind of been confused on what. Anyway, never mind. Here we go. It's
sexually.
I'm trying to figure out what actually fits the subject. Anyway, it's an atmospheric, smooth, slow jam, and to be honest with you, if you take out all the lyrics and just play the instrumental, you can probably use it in adult films. It's probably been altered in one way or another to sound just a little bit different. That's that little ting, so that it can be used in adult films. Sure about that? Probably, maybe. I've heard this song described as "it make the Elephant Man feel sexy." I'm not gonna go into the subject matter of the lyrics or the video itself, because what's the term? Unrequited is that
Unrequited love.
Unrequited love. That's what I got from the lyrics of a wanting but not love in return. But I'm kind of pushing that out the door and just going by music alone and the sensual way of the tone and that's been singing. Anyway, like I said, I don't think that matters for this topic of discussion. The Sexiest 90s song, ladies and gentlemen, play this song the next time you are setting the mood for your pending lovemaking. Trust me. I mean, seriously, if you can listen to this song and not say that's some baby making music right there, you are a liar. If you don't think that statement is true, there's something wrong with you. You put it on when it's time to do the horizontal hustle, some afternoon delight, when you're getting ready to knock the boots or jump in the bones, whatever you want to call it. Put this song on. It's that song. And while I'll admit, Sade's thing, really, to be honest with you, this is her thing. Like I could have easily probably gone with, and it depends on the release dates, but like Smooth Operator, By Your Side, Soldier of Love, and definitely her song Flow. I would have picked Flow if it was released in the 90s, but it came out in the 2000s. I highly recommend that song. Go listen to Flow by Sade. That is sex personified in a song. You can't go wrong with it. It's simple, it's silky smooth, and it sets the tone for a sexy situation. Let's just put it like that. And that's really all I can say about this. Guys, go for it. I didn't rip your songs, but bring it on.
Yeah, Smooth Operator has a saxophone, Joseph. You really missed the mark on that one, sir. There's nothing sexier than a goddamn saxophone, Joseph. So you had to pick the song. And then the song is, I get the mood setter. Yeah, you said adult film-esque. I can see an elevator. If there wasn't an elevator, maybe,
I'm sorry. Real quick. It's funny. I was going to say this because we talked about both of your songs being played at like junior high dances, high school dances. You put this song on in a junior high school dance back in the 90s. I think everybody was going to freak out. And what the hell are we listening to?
Well, they'd probably walk off the dance floor, Joseph. Yes.
Go ahead, Bob.
Except for the principal and his secretary. Yeah, I would have gone with Smooth Operator. It was what really bothers me about the song, Joseph, and I know it doesn't really connect, but it does, is the music video. I just don't,
it's a little weird.
The mermaid thing and merman, like I mentioned earlier, I just didn't get the weird dress. I don't know if it's like a sexy song or a breakup song or losing a love interest song, like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever that is. It doesn't scream. It's got a cool vibe. I'll give you that. It's got a cool vibe. I could see the whole elevator, don't feel music type of thing. Okay, I got you. I'll give you props for that. But the as far as the music video, and it's like elevator music, but for an adult film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you had said Smooth Operator, I'd been like, that's a pretty fucking sexy song, man. Even the music video's got some fucking cool shit to it. That song is the one I'd be like, man, I don't really have an argument for. But this one, I don't know. It kind of throws me off because it's not Smooth Operator.
Quick thing about Smooth Operator, it was released in the 80s. The thing I remember, that was a very sexy song. And of course, you can't use that for this because we're talking 90s. A little trivia, Ravishing Rick Rude, when he wrestled in a organization called World Class Championship Wrestling out of Texas, that was his theme music. His entrance music was Smooth Operator. So I always remember that from Rick Rude.
And he was a ravishing Rick Rude. I mean,
he was ravishing.
So tell me. Well, I'm making a point against. I'm making a point against my pick because he went without Smooth Operator. But like you said, not in the 90s, so I couldn't use it.
The only song that make Ravishing Rick Rude and the Elephant Man feel sexy. How could you argue that, right? There's a joke about the Elephant Man's bones. I'm not going to make. Okay, so all right, so same ballpark same ballpark with my selection. I think okay, I have two distinct memories tied to this song. A long time ago, this was used as a wedding song at my buddy's wedding. The marriage lasted 4 years. The lesson, as always, don't go sexy on your wedding music. Stick to something like Chicago's You're My Inspiration. You want well-adjusted kids? Pick Endless Love by Diana Ross and Lionel Richie. You want a combined income? Pick How Deep Is Your Love by the Bee Gees. You want to live in a house instead of an apartment? Pick At Last by Etta James. Never go sexy with your wedding song. Agree or disagree?
So what you're saying is it was an ordinary love.
Exactly. Okay,
that's a dad joke of the day, folks. Thank you.
My second thought on this song is that this song was used in a very critical scene in one of my favorite messed up 90s movies, the kitchen sex scene in Indecent Proposal. And we all know how that movie went. Okay.
Not good. Not good.
Not good for anybody. Maybe Robert Redford. But okay, by the way, can we get a little appreciation for early to mid 90s Demi Moore? I know, Joseph, this is the second episode in a row. I'm hijacking your pick to talk about an actress. But let's go. I mean, Ghost, A Few Good Men, Indecent Proposal, Disclosure, Now and Then, The Juror, and Striptease. Demi Moore was fantastic in the early 90s.
Yes.
Yes.
G.I. Jane, you forgot.
G.I. Jane was fantastic, too. I just didn't want to get slapped. Okay, so we are not rolling back the curtain on Joseph. My guess would have been Closer by 9 Inch Nails, or I thought you might have gone with Kiss from a Rose, just judging by your background. But
about that.
You know, both good songs, both great sexy songs. Anyway, the song starts off like the soundtrack of a Betamax movie I found deep in my dad's sock drawer. Wait, what's this? Oh no, Dad. Okay, so but once Sade's voice kicks in, that's when we start cooking. Because you listen to this song and it's like, okay, what is this? This is very dated, Skinamax sort of soundtrack. But when Sade sings, she has an incredible voice. Yes, it is a sexy song, but this is like the background sex song for a detective on a late Friday night Cinemax movie who sleeps with a woman he's trying to investigate, right? You know what I'm talking about, like that one bedroom.
That's awfully specific, sir.
Well, I'm gonna get more.
Emmanuel.
It's called lawfully specific. Okay. Anyway, you know that one bedroom apartment sex scene with the blue light and the TV that has like the combo VCR
what you're talking about.
Sitting next to an empty whiskey bottle. You guys know those movies
with the fish tank. But there's no fish in it.
Exactly. So. But there's also no climax to this song. Don't make that joke, Bob. There's no climax to this song. It just ends like my friend's failed marriage, like Woody and Demi's failed marriage in Indecent Proposal. This song just ends without anything to draw out. Okay, I definitely think it's a solid choice, Joseph, because like I said, same ballpark as my selection. I think this song is for rugged private detectives and multi-billionaire assholes like Robert Redford in Indecent Proposal. I will end with this. We have a grocery store chain here in Texas. It's the best grocery store chain in America. It's called H-E-B. So up yours, Winn-Dixie and Publix. But I want to say this about H-E-B. Okay, there's a meme out there or there's a joke that says, you're getting old when H-E-B is playing your jams. This has that H-E-B song feel. Like maybe you're getting some shredded cheese. They play this over the intercom and you're probably going to the wine section because it's going to trigger that emotion. Just don't end up in the pharmacy is what I'm saying afterwards. But it's one of those songs that's very like, yes, it's sexy, but I feel like if you were like 30 or 40 years old in the 90s, maybe this song is something that's going to spark a memory. I think anybody that's like just getting into or getting to know themselves or getting into college and trying to find out who they are and what they like, I don't think this song sort of does anything for them.
I got you.
Well, it's for adults only, sir. Adult TV. We were just talking about that.
I understand, like like with your two selections, it has its audience. She's more of an adult contemporary artist. I get that. It's a vibe, and like I said, this is kind of her thing, though. She makes a lot of these songs, and she's got a beautiful voice. She really does.
Yes. And a nice ponytail.
I don't know if we're talking about if we're being literal with the topic and sexy songs. When we hear that topic brought up, I immediately think to, and we're adults here, so I immediately think to what is going to be played, what I want to play, what's going to put me in. If this song is suddenly randomly on in the beginning of a heavy makeout session,
dog. That was the whips and chains that he had in his room.
Who's that girl with a whip behind
you? It's this song, and I really, like I said, I would have gone with Flow, but it came out in early 2000. So I was like, fuck, I can't go with that one, because if I had told you to listen to that one, you would have known what I was talking about, because I don't think you guys know that song. If a band like the Deftones can cover it and still sound like really fucking cool, like almost on par with the original, and that's one of my favorite bands. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay, but if you mention Smashing Pumpkins singing Landslide and they're exactly the same too, then I'm just losing all faith in you, Joseph.
I will say this: Sade, God bless her, she found a lane and she ran with it. Even though she had this breakout hit in the 80s with Smooth Operator, her career could have gone several pathways, because she's beautiful, she's got a great voice, and she could have done a lot of things wrong. But she said, you know what? Adult contemporary is my lane. Sexy music is my lane. I'm going to stick with it. So, it's my game, yes. But, I mean, I do like this song. I would put it in the top 10, Joseph. So, I mean, that's saying something. But I think it's more towards middle ageism in the 90s.
I get that. Like, I understand.
We're people too, goddammit. We're people too.
It has its audience.
It does. As your dog just showed us its asshole. Okay. All right. So, guys, final questions. The essential old guys telling people to get off our lawn questions. Is music still... Go ahead, Joseph.
Well, I was going to say one that I thought of while listening is which nobody picked, was Colorblind. And because you kind of threw out a random, like, what did you I forgot which one you threw out randomly that were like, okay, well, is it because of a film that people want, like Colorblind, Counting Crows? Is that a sexy song? Came out of the 90s. It was used in a movie for a quote unquote lovemaking scene. And
I think so.
What's the name of the lead singer?
Adam Durst.
Adam Durst. Well, let's just say something about Adam Durst. He had all the friends. He could have had whoever he wanted. This guy knows a thing.
So then it's a sexy song.
So it's a sexy fucking song. If you chose
Colorblind,
you mentioned him, you would have won. As a matter of fact, he won it all. He won it all. He won the game.
It was on in a very important point, because it was on Cruel Intentions.
Cruel Intentions. Oh, there it is.
Not when the brother and the sister were doing it, right? Or the sister wanted it. Just making sure.
I would agree that song should be up there too. And there's so many. When you're trying to cover a whole decade, you're going to miss some. So, I mean, I'm sure once we sign off, we're going to say, what about this song and that song? And we're just going to be too late. But guys, final questions. And we're going to sound like the essential old guys telling people to get off our lawns. But is music still sexy? Yeah, I think so. I think there's plenty of music out there that still, that sets your mood, whether it's setting the mood or during the, in the mood or whatever. I think, this was the start of it, I guess. You know? Yeah. Would you agree that now? I mean, I don't think it's more outlandish now than it kind of was when we described about it earlier in the 90s.
Nobody mentioned Enrique Iglesias. I'm just saying.
I can be your hero. I don't know.
Would you dance?
I was literally about to do it. Would you dance?
I smell your breath.
Oh, yeah, I mean. Dude, that sounded like Count Dracula.
I can be your hero, baby. This is going on way off the rails here. Way off the rails. We've offended so many people today. Like, oh my God.
Shout outs to Mickey Rourke and Jennifer Love Hewitt for that video.
Yeah. It was like it was like November Rain for Mexicans.
Yes. Okay, keep going.
Well, I'm sorry, but no, go.
I was gonna say
It sounded like no, but real quick, Randy, it sounded like you think that it's more outlandish now. Is that what you were getting at?
No. And damn it, Joseph, you brought up that song, and now I'm thinking that we didn't even touch upon the Latin wave that was happening with sexy music.
I brought it up.
All right, well,
nobody
I wasn't thinking about it.
We gotta do a half hour on Ricky Martin now.
Yeah.
Because
you dance?
The funniest, okay, I gotta mention the funniest. I was in a library and they had a poster up, and it was Enrique Iglesias looking really sexy, and it said "leer." It's Spanish for read. I was like, why would they have this in a fucking 12-year-old?
I remember that shit.
12-year-old fucking library. Like, Jesus, you don't have to look that sexy for little kids, dude. What the fuck? Sorry.
So no, and we're talking about current music. I think there's a lot. It's less gimmicky, but I think it's missing that rawness because it's so overproduced.
Sorry,
but it's still there. I mean, there's a lot of good artists that sing about sex music. There's a lot of good, like, I mean, The Weeknd, Bruno Mars, Ariana Grande, even Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran. I mean, it's everywhere. It's never gone anywhere. So I think I think the quality is better now, but the sort of like newness of it has faded away, so it's kind of like industry standard at this point, where in the 90s when you got the sex song from the band, you're like, oh wow, okay, this is the single that they're putting out to, for romance. Now it's like every other single from Bruno Mars or The Weeknd or whoever is going to be about this subject matter, which is fine because I mean it pays the bills, but it's also just so constant now.
Bruno Mars has the skills to pay the bills.
No, he's amazing. 90s style sex music is such a time capsule. If anything, what's one thing that it taught you guys? Keep it PG.
Can I say it here?
I think okay, I'll lead off because I know that's a loaded question. I think it was a great era for not knowing how to dance. Because
oh yeah, dude.
If you did not know how to dance, you were okay. Because
junior high dance. Junior high, wrap your arms around. Yeah, junior high dance.
Yeah. So to me, I mean, I got away because this was the era where I was going to out and stuff and going to clubs. I have two left feet. So thankfully, when these songs came out, all you had to do was just, like keep it like Hitch. You just had to keep your distance or keep your motion, I should say.
Hitch, that's such a great movie. Yeah, I think I agree with that 1,000,000%. The junior high dance, if you needed lyrics, you could steal them off, somebody's cassette tape. Or you can have, well, I mean, we had LimeWire and shit during that time. You could have somebody download the song. But yeah, I agree, dude. That's what I'll take from it. It was a really big era of the romantic pop R&B song. You know what I mean? It wasn't just hard rock bands singing ballads. This was actually a brand new genre of or style of music where it was in the forefront, where you talked about sex and you talked about lovemaking and you talked about romance, and it was out there, and it was. I mean, and it was very popular in the 90s.
Yeah.
Joseph, did he teach you anything?
Joseph, yeah.
Yeah.
What about the animal song? The Me, You, Baby are nothing but mammals, but let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. Nobody even mentioned that one.
Was that a 90s song?
That was by,
the Bloodhound Gang?
Bloodhound Gang. I think it was.
Yeah, I got nothing from it. I mean, I enjoy it now more that I'm older now. And
He fell in love with Bryan Adams.
My last two questions, guys. Am I in too deep? Have I lost my mind?
We'll definitely cut that shit.
Oh my god!
If you're asking us that, you're asking the wrong fucking person, bro. You're barking up the wrong tree.
Last thoughts on sexy 90s songs, guys.
Let's just get this going. With this topic has inspired us to start. We're gonna get that message number that we had get running up again. We're gonna do hey. Thanks for calling Formidable Opponents. If you'd like to talk, we're going to set something up like that. So get ready, listeners. It's coming.
Whoa. Do you mean that like metaphorically or literally?
See, a lot more fun than we thought we were, right?
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying.
If you're still with us, everybody.
Yes.
If you haven't, contacted your senator, complain about us or Spotify.
They turned it off after chanting monks. So
I don't think so.
Bob, any last thoughts on sexy 90s songs?
No, man. I'm glad that we talked about this subject.
Fun. Yeah.
I when I was watching it again, bringing it up, watching it at brunch at a bar. Yeah, I thought it'd be hilarious, and I wasn't wrong, dude. I think the episode came out pretty good. I hope our fans think the same thing, that they laughed along with us and they thought of songs that they may have remembered or wrote the lyrics to when they were in junior high or high school. Yeah, what's the sexiest song? Are we full of shit? Are we wrong? Did we miss something?
I think some people are going to tell us we should have picked fucking Counting Crows.
Mine. If you'd like to hear the 1-800 number, just please let us know.
Okay, before we get out of here, any last recommendations? We have a little time. Something you saw, something you're looking forward to.
I saw Halloween Ends and was very disappointed.
Why?
Well, if you're planning on watching, I don't want to spoil it. I don't know why they chose to go that way. I'll just say it that way. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what the thinking was. It was and this is because, a lot of people have trashed supposedly these last three movies, take place after the first one. So it sets that up. And I thought Halloween, what is it? Halloween Kills, were great. Halloween Ends, I think they ruined it. You be the judge. Everybody out there, Bob, later, let me know.
Oh yeah, I'm watching Barry right now. I love Barry. That's a great series on HBO. If you haven't seen it, Bill Hader is the man. He does a fantastic job with his mixing the comedy and the drama, and it's just amazing. So if you haven't checked that out yet, I suggest you do. I'm looking for new shows, so I'll take some suggestions, folks. If you're out there. I haven't seen a lot of shows. That'd be cool. Anything, serial killers. I haven't seen Ted Lasso. I want to see Ted Lasso, but I'm going to be have a lot of free time on my hands sometime soon. So some TV show recommendation would be great. Send us a message on Instagram. Let me know. I need some ideas, and I'll give you a shout out if it's good. If it sucks, I'll still give you a shout out to say it sucks.
Joseph, do you want to say something?
No, I said I talked about.
You had your hand raised. I thought you were like.
No. He had a sneeze.
I saw you on the phone. I didn't know if that was the Love's Line connection that you were endorsing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're getting ready to go, everybody. Just got a call back from the people that are going to run the line for us.
Quickly,
1-800 three guys and a goat.
The only thing I want to talk about quickly is the trailer of Killers of the Flower Moon just dropped based on the book.
Yeah.
Loaded cast, early rumblings of this being the best collaboration between Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio, and maybe Scorsese's best movie. It gets released on October 20th. It'll be a major Oscar contender. I don't know how Scorsese is going to work the Rolling Stones' Gimme Shelter in this one, but I am looking forward to it. I watched the trailer over and over. I cannot wait. I haven't anticipated a movie like this in a long time.
So is De Niro or Jack Nicholson a Native American in this one?
I have no idea, but hopefully they're not chanting,
That's where you got the chanting question from.
Yeah. It's 3.5 hours long. It's going to be tremendous.
That's what I told her.
That's our show, everyone. Listeners, we'd like to hear from you. Hit us up and let us know what your favorite sexy 90s song is. Most importantly, let us know what you think about the show. You may reach us at formidableopponents@gmail.com, and you can follow us on all forms of social media by searching for Formidable Opponents. We want to thank Creative Little Pill for her great artwork. Please follow her on Instagram at Creative Little Pill. Please rate and review us on Apple and Spotify. And join us next episode. We'll be back next week with Worst Movie Sequel. So for Bob and Joseph, this is Randall. We'll see you all next week.
Nobody
on the floor.